Hey friends, welcome to MY channel, where love takes center stage. I'm Nikki and today I am opening up about MY journey through love, a story filled with unexpected twists, cultural surprises, and lessons learned. As a Filipina, I always thought MY love story would be traditional, settling down with a young Filipino man who shared MY values and dreams. But life had other plans. Never in MY wildest imagination did I expect to cross paths with foreigners, let alone date them. It wasn't something I ever dreamed of or planned for, but here I am, navigating the world of cross-cultural relationships. In this channel, I'll take you on a journey comparing the dynamics of love with Filipino men and foreigners. From their attitudes and approaches to love, to the challenges and joys of cultural differences, I'll share MY real-life experiences and the lessons I've learned along the way. If you're curious about love across borders or just enjoy heartfelt, true-to-life love stories, you're in the right place. Let's explore how love can surprise us, challenge us, and ultimately take us to grow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me on this exciting journey. Through these experiences, I've learned to observe and understand the different attitudes, motives, and behaviors of men when it comes to love. If you're curious about how to tell whether a man is genuine or just playing around, you're in the right place. Together, let's talk about the lessons in love that can help you become wiser and more confident in choosing the right person for you. For those who enjoy reading love stories like Wattpad or romance novels, this is perfect for you. What I'm sharing is a true story about the life of a young woman. Well, I'm a simple and charming woman, but I've always had high aspirations when it comes to love. I've been very particular about a man's character, attitude, and even his appearance. Ever since I was a child, I dreamed of marrying my ideal man and having a happy family. But those dreams didn't turn out as I had hoped. I grew up believing that the right man would come at the right time, a Prince Charming who would bring forever. I had high standards and was very selective about everything: his height, physical appearance, clothing, character, diligence, and responsibility. I even considered zodiac signs and birth years to check compatibility. But I learned the hard way that not everything in life goes as planned. I rejected many suitors. Some of them chased me for years, proving their dedication because they wanted to show that their intentions were genuine. But I was picky, cautious, and observant. I wanted a man who was intelligent, handsome, had a stable career, and most importantly, respected me and my family. Despite being so selective, I still ended up with the wrong people, men who seemed perfect at first but later revealed their true colors, liars, cheaters, and those with no real plans for the future. I experienced pain, but I'm the type who moves on quickly. I am practical and critical, especially when it comes to uncertain things. I thought I could change someone because I loved them. I tried to understand their flaws, thinking maybe I was the problem. But in the end, I was always disappointed. I despised crying over a man. I hated feeling like I was wasting my tears. Even though I'm brave and strong, I'm also emotional and sensitive, especially when I follow my heart. Why did I let myself suffer, hoping someone else would change my life? I began to ask myself, who was I before these men came into my life? What is my worth? Eventually, I learned one of the most important lessons in life: love should start with oneself. I don't need to be a martyr to feel loved by others. I don't need to wait for the perfect person because no one is perfect. I also realized that relationships are not always stable. Finding the right person is partly a matter of luck. But that doesn't mean I should give my entire self in the hope of forever. No, I am stronger. I have chosen to love myself first. I'm no longer rushing into relationships or setting unrealistically high expectations. If the right person comes, I'll be grateful. If not, I'll still be happy because I've learned that I hold the key to my own happiness. My story isn't about a happily ever after, but about discovering the true meaning of love. I am no longer seeking perfection but authenticity. And along the way, I discovered that the love I was searching for has always been within. So to help you understand how all of this began, let me start by narrating my love story. From the time I was in elementary school, I started admiring my childhood friend, his name Benji, when I was only in the 4th grade. I call him the Rooster. I admired him because he was so gentlemanly toward me. Whenever we fetched water from the well, he would help carry my gallons. Even though my house was closer to the well than his, and he had to climb a hill to reach his home, he never hesitated to lend a hand. When I went to the plaza near his house to grind corn on a stone mill, he would insist on doing it for me instead. All his cousins teased us, calling us a pair. But we knew we were too young to even think about such things. On days when there was no classes, Benji would visit my house to play with me. He taught me how to spin a yo-yo kasing. Sometimes, he would fetch water near our house and play with me afterward. Our fathers were good friends back when my father was still alive, so Benji occasionally accompanied his dad to visit us. After school, we would walk home together with our classmates since there was only one path leading to our barangay. My house was about 3 kilometers from the school, so I walked this distance every morning and afternoon. This was my daily routine during school days. On my way to school, I sold vegetables like string beans, which I tied in bundles for 5 pesos each, and fruits like ripe bananas, tundan, to every house as I passed by. I carried these items along with my heavy backpack filled with books, papers, and notebooks. Sometimes, the bananas and string bean would sell out before I even reached school, but other times, I'd have leftovers. I would then offer these to my teachers. To focus on my studies during class hours, I entrusted my unsold items to an elderly friend of my mother, who displayed them in the canteen for a commission. On days sales were slow. While I sat in the classroom reading, her name Beb, one of my classmates' girl and also my neighbor, pushed the string beans toward me and laughed. She teased me about selling vegetables at school. I just kept my head down and didn't respond. Baby was stylish and always acted like she was the prettiest and sexiest among the girls in our barangay. She also had a crush on Benji and tried hard to get his attention. Perhaps this was why she picked on me, because Benji always gravitated toward me. Benji's sister and I were somewhat close too. At school, Bebe and I were competitors in academics. She always wanted to be better than me. We sat next to each other in class, and during exams or quizzes, she would copy my answers when she didn't know the answer. I wasn't fond of hitting my answers, so she took advantage of this. When I asked her for answers, she would give me the wrong ones on purpose, especially when I had been absent and needed help with assignments. When we walked home, I always rushed ahead of them since I had so many chores to do once I got home. They would laugh behind my back, and I sometimes joined in without knowing the reason. Later, I'd find out they had been stuffing my bag with hagonoy leaves. My mom would scold me when I got home, asking why I was bringing those leaves. As Benji and I grew older, it felt like our closeness deepened. But then I learned that his parents had decided to transfer him and his sister to another school in a faraway city. I felt sad of course, but he promised to come back since his grandmother and cousins lived in our barangay. 2 years later, we met again. By then I was a young lad, and he had grown into a young man. We ended up in the same classroom as first-year high school students. However, we weren't as close as before. I felt awkward around him, though I still harbored feelings for him. During our barangay fiesta, Benji spoke to me privately. To my surprise, he confessed his feelings. He told me he loved me. I was so shocked that I couldn't respond. It felt like something was holding me back from expressing my own feelings. Just then, my mom called me, and our conversation was ended. In truth, I wasn't sure what I felt for Benji. What I did know was that he was my first crush, the first boy I admired, but the sheer thing I knew, he was not my ideal man for feature. He wasn't have a good hair, he was a moreno but he had a strong appeal to women and like kind of womanizer. During my high school life, I developed a crush on another young boy because of his well-defined nose. But before I had a crush on him, here's what happened. One day there was a school event in the office, and they played the movie Titanic. All the students from the first and second year sections gathered to watch. We were all standing. As I focused on the movie, I heard a boy's voice behind me asking my classmate beside me for my name. My classmate immediately gave my name. Curious, I turned around and saw a boy quickly looking away, seemingly SAY. After the screening, he started blocking my path playfully whenever we crossed paths. His name was Rick. I had noticed him back in grade 5 when he was chosen as the Prince Charming for the grade 6 intramurals. He was often on stage, but back then I wasn't interested. By the time I was in grade 6, Ricky was already in high school. Our school was on the same campus, with the elementary section at the lower part and the high school section above. Ricky was popular because he was always chosen as Prince Charming every year. One day as I walked to my teacher's office, I crossed paths with Rick. He gave me a wink with one eye. I noticed his small face and perfectly shaped nose. He often wore white shirts, which made him look even more attractive. I sat at the front of the classroom, near the door, where I could see students passing by. Every time Ricky walked by, he would wink at me. During lunch breaks, we would occasionally cross paths, and he would tease me by blocking my way. It was a bit annoying at first, but eventually, he caught my attention. When I went to the canteen to buy snacks, Ricky's group of friends would tease him. One of them even said, "Miss, don't pay, Ricky's got this covered." But I ignored them, pretending not to hear. I was very SAY back then. Over time, Ricky became my biggest crush. However, I needed to focus on my studies. My family was poor, and I was the breadwinner after my father passed away when I was in the 3rd grade. During school activities like acquaintance parties, I was often surprised when the in charge would grab me for a blind date. They would blindfold me with a red cloth and lead me to a room. I tried to refuse, but they told me I'd have to pay if I decline. I thought to myself, I'd rather spend that money on snacks. They sat me down and removed the blindfold. To my surprise, Ricky was sitting in front of me, smiling ear to ear. The room was small, with only 2 chairs facing each other. I told him, "What do you want? Why did you have me brought here?" We could have talked outside. But deep inside I was trembling, either from nervousness or the cold, I wasn't sure. Ricky stammered, "I love you, Nick." I felt deafened by his words, unable to even swallow my saliva. I replied, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "No, I'm serious. I'll wait for your decision." I told him, "I'll answer you when I'm ready." Then he asked, "Can I hold your hand for a moment?" Before I could answer, he grabbed my hand title. I quickly pulled my hand away. My heart was pounding so loudly at that moment. Thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this part of my story, trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. There's so much more to share, and I've got exciting twists and insights coming up in the next video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when it drops. Your support means the world to me, and I can't wait to take you along on this journey. See you in the next one.